talented she is to work her way to the #2 spot in this Oklahoma order. She has been great all season long, and I think she's going to be key for them going up against Texas tonight. Need her big bat right up there at the top of the order to try to drive in some runs, but they've got their work cut out for them with Citlali Gutierrez coming in the circle. Just a sophomore for the Texas Longhorns, but she's really been great ever since she stepped foot in Austin at Texas, excuse me.
The other UT.
The other UT, yes, yes, the wrong orange right there, right?
So Gutierrez getting set to go. First team all Big 12 selection this year, has a win against Oklahoma this year. Jada Coleman takes ball 1 from Gutierrez. Citlali on the season 10-0 with a 1.44 earned run average. This is her 17th start on the season. 78 innings of work. This is a deep Texas staff for Mike White for the 2nd consecutive year. 1-1 the count to Coleman, senior center fielder. 2 for 5 in the tournament with a home run, has walked a couple of times and scored 4 runs. One and two to the Oklahoma leadoff hitter at 397 on the season. Her average has slipped below the 400 mark. 10 for her last 40 at the plate over the last 13 games. The 1-2 from Gutierrez misses. 2-2.
Jada Coleman's still a player at the top of this Oklahoma lineup that's going to bring the energy day in and day out. It just seems like the rest of the team feeds off of what she brings in that leadoff position. Trying to get a feel for the strike zone here with Citlali working more down in the zone.
Slap foul by Coleman. Even though Coleman's average has slipped under the 400 mark, she still gets on base at a very high clip. #1 on the team in on-base percentage. A threat to steal if she gets on. 53 career stolen bases. 5-game hitting streak for her. For this Oklahoma team, after dropping 2 of 3 to Oklahoma State, won game 3 of that series. Ground ball off the first baseman, looking for it, not able to find it is the freshman Katie Stewart, and the leadoff is aboard for Oklahoma.
The defense has been an area that's been improved for Texas from last season to this season. But this is a big mistake here to start off this ball game for Texas. A ground ball over to Katie Stewart, who's playing back behind first base. She almost gets caught in between on that second long hop. An error over there to start off the ball game, and a runner reaching base.
53 errors for Texas on the season. Defense is good, could be a little bit tighter. 965 fielding percentage on the year for the #1 team in the country.
And I felt last year looking at their season, their errors seemed to come in bunches. There would be games where they had 5 errors, 3 errors. This year it seems a little bit more spread out. But when you're facing Oklahoma, they are going to grasp onto any opportunity you give them.
Parker with a slow roller on the right side, and Parker running fast down the line, beats it out. 1st and 2nd to get things started for the Sooners here in the 1st.
Oklahoma just putting the ball in play and making something happen. This is a play that's not going to go down as an error in the scorebook, but you have to charge this one harder. You have to get that ball over to first base quicker. Ella Parker, known for her power, but she motors down this first baseline, hustles straight out of the box, definitely beats that one out. Slow developing ground ball over at second base. She tried to flip it over, and she just flat out beats that one out.
I like to see the smile on her face down the first base. You know, she's 6 for 7 now in the tournament. Most of the other hits have been a little bit harder hit than that one.
A little bit. They made it to the other warning track beyond the warning track out in center field.
Here is Tiare Jennings. Ball 1. Jennings 2 for 4 in the tournament with a couple of walks and 3 runs scored. 0 for 2 yesterday in the semifinal win over BYU. 13-2 and 5 was the final in that Oklahoma win. This is hit well to right field and deep. It is carrying back, and it is off the wall. Coleman being waved around. It's a run-scoring double for Jennings, and Oklahoma comes out firing here in the 1st.
This is exactly what this Sooner offense wants to do to opponents. They want to get on base, and they want to set to the table for hitters like Tiare Jennings. This is a drop ball down in the zone, and she just gets her barrel underneath it, behind it, drives it the opposite way out to that right field wall. That one's going to score Jada Coleman easily from second base.
Station on the field. Patty Gasso can huddle up with their team. That is career hit number 300 for Tiare Jennings. We chatted with Patty Gasso before the game, and you could just sense that the pressure is letting up a little bit because they were struggling. We know what happened at the end of the year, losing 2 out of 3 to Oklahoma State, but it feels like, Maddie, they've turned the page a little bit here, and it's a different feeling vibe around the team right now.
The way that Coach Patty Gasso describes it is playing more complete softball, having every phase of the game working at once, getting your offense going, getting your pitching going, having that solid defense. And it seems here towards the end of the season, they're starting to piece things together. It's been a little bit of a rocky road, and I say that lightly because they've only got 6 losses on the entire season, right? We can call it a rocky road.
Do you want to get into that conversation of it's an off year for Oklahoma right now?
It's 6 losses, but there have been times where they don't exactly look like textbook Oklahoma softball.
Ball 1 to Alyssa Brito. Mentioned Gutierrez beat Oklahoma earlier this season. That was game 2 of the series. Great series, won by Texas. Took 2 out of 3. Gave up just 6 hits and 1 run. Gutierrez in a jam here in the first. Second and third, nobody out. There's a strike, and it's 1-1 to Brito.
She did give up a run in the first inning in that start that she had against the Sooners earlier this year. Really settled in after that first inning.
Sure did. Didn't walk anybody, struck out 2. That ended Oklahoma's 40-game winning streak in Big 12 play. 1-2 now to Brito, who's at .418 now in the season. Lots of pops, 16 home runs, 54 runs batted in. Had a strong semifinal showing, 3 for 3 with 3 runs scored and 2 runs batted in. The 1-2 from Gutierrez. 2-2.
You got to be really careful where you throw drop balls to Alyssa Brito up at the plate because she is one of the best drop ball hitters in the country. So far this year, she has 8 home runs on the drop ball, and that leads Division I.
4 for 5 in the tournament with 4 runs batted in. Out of play. Chance to add to that total here in the first. We mentioned 7 straight run rule wins for Texas, but now running into an Oklahoma team finding their stride here in the postseason. 11 extra base hits with runners in scoring position. Gutierrez gets a big strikeout, 1 away.
Challenges her with this drop ball low and inside, and this pitch was really efficient because it's got a bit of arm side run to it as well. It's dropping down in the zone, but it's also working in on the hands of the right-handed batters, trying to get behind and underneath that one, and Brito's not able to do that enough. And the first strikeout and the first out of this inning.
And now here comes the leading hitter for this Oklahoma team, Kinsey Hansen. Ball 1. Hansen 3 for 5 in the tournament with 3 runs batted in. One.
Good spot on that low and outside corner. That's a call that Zitlali Gutierrez definitely wants to have. When you're facing this Oklahoma lineup, you want to make sure you're working the edges of the zone, trying to keep the ball in the ballpark.
Here's the 1-1. Grounded, stopped by the third baseman looking for the tag. Great play by Vivi Martinez. They will get the out at second. A run does score, but perhaps preventing a second run is Martinez, 2 down. RBI number 32 for Hansen.
It's a great play by Vivi Martinez. Hit deep into that 5-6 hole. Very smart to know that that run at third base was going to score easily. She throws it to third, gets into a bit of a rundown. I guarantee Tiare Jennings here thought that this was going to be a base hit through to the left side. No problem. A nice snag there to get it out on that play.
Popped up on the infield by Pickering. Drifting back and getting it as well with a very familiar starting lineup. A little bit of a change, though. Alyssa Washington coming back from injury, hit a home run last night. She's in the lineup in the 8th spot. And Katie Stewart, we talk about some talented impact freshmen. Add Stewart to the list.
Freshman with a ton of power in the Big 12 between these two teams. We highlighted Ella Parker for Oklahoma's lineup, but Katie Stewart, 4 for 5 so far in this Big 12 tournament with a home run. Those 4 RBIs, they're definitely going to need her again if they want to try to climb back in this ball game, but they're going to have to face a veteran in the Big 12 in Kelly Maxwell, the senior, member of the All Big 12 first team.
Ashton Maloney steps in for Texas to lead things off for the regular season champions in the Big 12, and she starts off with a ground ball to Tiara Jennings. 1 pitch, 1 away here in the first. Maxwell, Big 12 first team selection. Second start in the tournament, started the quarterfinal against Kansas, went 5 in that game. What can we expect today?
She has incredible movement on her pitches in a variety of different locations. She's going to mix her speeds, and because of that, because she's able to get ahead, she has a very high swing and miss rate. A lot of batters chase after the pitches up and out of the zone. Her ability to get ahead of batters, too, that's going to be key for Maxwell going up against Texas. Try to get ahead, and once you're able to do that, expand outside of the zone to get Texas swinging outside of it.
Strike 1 to Mia Scott. Now down on the count 0-2. Four 400 hitters in the lineup for this Texas team, including Mia Scott. 419 on the season. First team selection in the Big 12. There's a ball. Scott 3 for 6, a couple of home runs already in the tournament. 4 runs batted in. Texas with wins over Texas Tech, 13-4 in 5 innings. And then Baylor last night, 14-3 in 5 innings. 9 total home runs so far in the tournament. Swing and a miss, 2 away for Maxwell in the first.
You can see even in just that at-bat, throwing a variety of speeds, variety of locations coming out of her hand. It looks like this is going to be a pitch that stays about belt high, but that's the rise ball. It's going up in the zone and away from the lefty Mia Scott. That pitch way outside of the zone, but already you can tell that her pitches are moving by that swing and miss.
Ball 1 to Vivi Martinez, sophomore shortstop. Second team all-conference selection, 3 for 6 in the tournament with 3 runs batted in. Two and 0. Maxwell gave up 2 hits in her 5 innings of work against Kansas in the quarterfinal. Did give up 2 runs. As a staff in the tournament, Oklahoma with a ERA of 2.10. 4-3 scored that, and it's a 1. There's some vulnerable play that we've seen from Oklahoma. Everything's relative, though. This is still a team that is on the short list for winning another national championship.
I absolutely agree, and I do think their vulnerability has allowed everybody else to raise their game a little bit, give them a little bit more hope coming into the games, just because of how dominant Oklahoma has been over the past couple of seasons. Then this year, because they lost a little bit earlier than we're used to seeing, you're thinking, oh, maybe this Oklahoma team isn't going to be of Oklahoma teams that we've seen of late, but they are really starting to turn it on here at the end of the season. And I really do think it's a product of them having some games where they're not putting every facet of the game together. You look at the Louisiana loss, which was their first loss of the season. Defense not as sharp in those games. When they lost the series to Texas, they just weren't getting the offense and the timely hitting that we're used to seeing from them. And this past weekend against Oklahoma State, maybe the pitching wasn't there.
Foul ball off the bat of Alita Torres, down on the count 0-2.
In that game 3 against Oklahoma State, though, it really felt like they started to put things together and then carried that into this Big 12 tournament. The offense is starting to fire up. You see them already putting up early runs in this ball game. That's something that this team's going to need to continue to do in this postseason.
0-2 to Torres. Sends that foul. I just think that the pressure that Oklahoma plays with, and we touched on this with Patty Gasso, when you go 61-1 like they did last year, when you have a 71-game winning streak ended this year that carried over from last year, when you've won 3 straight national championships, anything but winning a national championship is going to feel, especially for these upperclassmen, like, oh, it's not as good as last year. And that is such a hard place to be. Torres with a strikeout, 1 away here in the second. Isn't it? I mean, imagine playing with that pressure.
I don't know what it's like to play with that pressure because I've never won 3 national championships in a row and come into my senior year trying to repeat that, or four-peat that, I should say. And this is a game where you're going to have to deal with failure, and this senior class just hasn't dealt with a ton of failure because they've won pretty much every single game that they've stepped on the field to compete in. And so 6 losses on the year probably feels like a lot to this team, and they're having to navigate some of those feelings along with just being a senior in general. But I do think that they almost seem to be playing with a lot less weight on their shoulders in the past couple of games.
Sydney Sanders takes the ball. It's 1-1, so the number 8 hitter for Oklahoma, 0 for 2 in the tournament. I must say, you're a multiple-time All-American. That was All-American analysis because our director, Johnny Hanna, was putting on some of the best-dressed fans here at the game here today. And you went right through it. You just stuck with your analysis. You did not flinch one bit.
You know, I tried to segue.
Minnie Mouse was at the game, and you just kept going.
I did try to segue the costume into my analysis, but I am not that next level to where I could swerve in those 2.
You're not Oklahoma level yet?
No, nope, not quite there. Nope. There it is.
No sun to worry about here today, and hopefully no rain. 76 degrees at first pitch, a little bit muggy, but a nice night here in OKC, fouled off by Sanders. I just want one follow-up on the Oklahoma talk, and we've both used the word vulnerable or vulnerabilities. Where are those for Oklahoma? If you are another team in the country, if you're Texas, number 1 in the country, Oklahoma State got knocked out of this tournament earlier, Tennessee in the SEC, Florida just won the SEC, Duke in the ACC. If you're these teams, that's down low, and you're thinking about there's a path to win here on this field in June for a national championship, where are those areas where Oklahoma may not be where they were in the past?
My mind goes to the pitching, and they have great pitchers, but they're not your dominant strikeout pitchers that we're used to seeing from them. As Sid Lally now has 2 strikeouts in this inning.
And the defensive player of the year, Reese Atwood, sailed to throw to Mia Scott to try to throw it around the horn. Instead, they're throwing it around the outfield horn, 2 down.
Working that off-speed drop ball. In there, you can see just how far out in front Sydney Sanders is on that swing. And I do think you're seeing with Kelly Maxwell out there in the circle for Oklahoma, she's going to be more of your strikeout type of pitcher. She's going to go out there and get a ton of swings and misses out of the zone. But if I'm an opposing team, that's what I'm looking at. I'm going, how do we put up runs against Oklahoma? Because you know that this offense is going to be able to score.
It's a matchup of the top 2 hitting teams in the country. Texas number 1, Oklahoma number 2. They can't produce runs. Number 9 hitter Riley Boone, 1-1 the count to the senior left fielder, hitting better than 400 on the season, a couple of hits in 4 at-bats here in the tournament. Boone was a catalyst, and if you're looking at that game against Oklahoma State to close out the regular season in Bedlam, 3 for 3 in that game against the Pokes last Sunday. Second team all-conference selection in the Big 12 this season. Slap to third, Scott on the first, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Gutierrez, who has... After Championship Saturday, it is Selection Sunday. The bracket reveal live on ESPN2 tomorrow, 7 Eastern time, and then it's 7 innings live, the selection special at 8. 2 big hours to present the field and then break down the field tomorrow night. And Championship Saturday has been fantastic so far. Congrats to Charlotte, champs in the American after the win over Wichita State. Duke wins the ACC Tournament Championship. Florida, the SEC champs after knocking off Mizzou, and we still got the Pac-12 to come tonight. UCLA and Utah. We've got a big one here in OKC, the Big 12 Championship, Hornet Championship Saturday. And strike one to Reese Atwood. Atwood, the Big 12 Player of the Year. I've been told her throw to third went off the bat of Sanders. That's why it ended the left field.
Yes.
The Player of the Year doesn't make mistakes like that. Actually, a couple of great catchers side by side right now. You've got Atwood, Player of the Year for Texas, their catcher, and Kinsey Hansen, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, back behind the plate for Oklahoma. Two and one to Atwood, who has had a remarkable season. Hit .291 a season ago, hitting above .430 this season. 2-1. 2-2.
She's made a couple of changes in regards to her stance from last season. Last season, her front foot was quite a bit more open. This year, she's starting a little bit more closed, and I feel that in combination with the stance and her hand pad, she's been able to cover just a variety of different pitches this year. Hard to get her out up at the plate. Really good take on that curveball on the outer half there. I like that spot by Maxwell, too. But during this 18-game win streak, 27 hits, 10 home runs, 33 RBI. She is just an RBI machine so far this season.
She has a personal 11-game hitting streak going right now, and a 3-2 pitch coming from Maxwell.
That open stance last year, she would almost cut off her swing a bit, starting really open and then stepping all the way across her body. And I think because she's staying a bit more parallel to the batter's box lines, that it's allowed her to cover the inner half and the outside part of the plate.
Maxwell wins the battle, one away here in the second.
This is where having the spin and the movement in different directions works to Kelly Maxwell's advantage. Reese Atwood looked at a ball that was a curveball on the outside half of the plate earlier in this at-bat, and then she goes with the rise ball. So those two different pitches come in looking the same, but break in different directions. That strikeout pitch was that rise ball working up and away from Atwood.
Strike one to Katie Stewart. Freshman who plays first base, hitting over 400 on the season, 4 for 5 in the tournament with 4 runs batted in, including a home run. She has an 18-game on-base streak. 1-1.
Almost looked like that curveball got close to hitting Katie Stewart in the box. She stands right up on that chalk line. You can see where her toes right on the edge.
1-2. Stewart had a 2-run home run against Maxwell in Game 3 of the Red River Rivalry regular season series. That was back on April 7th, a 2-1 win for Texas. Maxwell pitched a 3-hitter in winning Game 1, but then Texas came back with back-to-back 2-1 wins to take the series in Austin. 1-2 pitch. 2-2. So since that loss to Oklahoma, 18 straight wins for Texas, 25 hits in that span for this freshman.
I'd say their offense is doing quite a bit to contribute to that 18-game win streak.
Three and 2. Texas comes in hitting .383 through the first 2 games of the postseason. That's first in Division I. Hitting better than .490 in the tournament. 78 home runs on the season for the Longhorns. Swung on and missed. Hansen will throw it down the first to retire Stewart. 3 strikeouts now for Maxwell, 2 away.
Worked a lot of pitches in that at-bat, low and inside to Katie Stewart, probably paying attention to the fact that she's right up on that chalk line. This one goes to an off-speed, down in the zone. Gets her swinging and missing at a pitch, not even close to the strike zone.
Here's senior Jolie Mitchell. Takes strike one. Mitchell 3 for 4 with a home run, 3 runs batted in the tournament. One of 3 seniors in the starting lineup for Texas here today. 6 freshmen and sophomores for Mike White. Very young team, but they have produced. You see Mike. 6th season now in Austin, 15th overall. Big 12 Coach of the Year. Foul back, and it's 1-2. Had a very young team last year. Pitching staff, most experienced part of what he has on the roster, but man, does he have some talented young players in this lineup.
And really threw them into the fire right from the start of the season. Played 2 games against UCLA, then went to Clearwater where they faced Tennessee and Stanford. Really testing them against some of the best competition across the country early on in this season.
1-2 to Mitchell. 2-2.
And that's part of the unknowns with the young players on a team. You just don't know how they're going to respond when they get into these types of atmospheres, and you can't really practice it until they get thrown into the atmosphere.
Count goes full to Mitchell. Count was full to Atwood. Count was full to Stewart. Maxwell won both those battles with strikeouts. Count now full to Mitchell. And a walk. First base runner of the game for Texas. It's Jolie Mitchell with 2 down here in the second.
All 3 at-bats in this inning. You mentioned all the full counts. Every time she's gone to a pitch that's well outside of the strike zone, probably playing on the fact that batters are going to assume that Kelly Maxwell's not going to want to put a runner on by getting a walk, so they think she's going to bring something into the strike zone, and maybe as a batter you try to guess a little bit that she's going to bring it into the zone.
Swing and a miss by freshman Caden Henry, the center fielder. Strike 1, 0 for 6 here in the tournament. Caden, member of the all-freshman team and second team all-conference selection as well. Call the strike, and it's 0-2. Ball 1. Texas with 47 wins. They went 23-4 in the Big 12. Regular season champions, outright title for the first time since 2010, looking for their first Big 12 tournament title since 2005. Sharp single up the middle, and it's in the gap. Slamming on the brakes around second was Mitchell. Mitchell now being waved around. Here comes the throw, and she is safe. All the way to third goes Henry, and Texas is on the board.
Another freshman coming through for Texas this season. This time it's Caden Henry with a runner over at first base. This play at home was a lot closer than it should have been. She hit this one extremely sharp off of the bat, straight up the middle. Gets all the way out to center field, but you'll notice Jolie Mitchell actually stops at second base and then decides to keep going. Was able to make it into home plate standing up.
Are you surprised all the way to the fence? Because it certainly looked like Jada Coleman was surprised. There must have been some crazy topspin on it because it got by her quickly.
She hit it extremely hard off of the bat. I honestly thought it sounded for a minute that she got it off the end of the bat, but she smoked that thing back up the middle. And it just seemed to linger out in center field a long time for Jolie Mitchell to stop at second base and still make it safely to home.
So an RBI triple for the freshman, her first hit of the tournament. And here is senior Alyssa Washington. Grounded to the shortstop, Jennings to first for the out to retire the side, but Caden Henry comes through with 2 down.
Hard off of Kelly Maxwell. First pitch swinging in that at-bat, too, all over it. For back-to-back 2-1 wins for Texas in that series.
It was the first series win against Oklahoma for Texas since 2009. As you take a look at the series history as they meet here in the Big 12 Tournament Championship for a final time.
It's always a good matchup between these two teams, but you get the feeling that maybe there's a little bit more behind this one because it's the last time that these two teams will match up in the Big 12. And maybe just because there's another championship on the line between these two teams. A little combo of everything.
Just they keep buying more trophy cases. Oklahoma has spent plenty of money of their budget on trophy cases in Norman, that's for sure. Texas would love to add one to their regular season title. Top of the order here for Oklahoma. Coleman leading off, reached on an error and scored in the first. One from Gutierrez. Slap foul and out of play. You know, we did those highlights just to give you an opportunity to editorialize your thoughts on the obstruction rule. So well done, you snuck it in there.
I did talk about it just briefly, but I also said I was glad that they went to the review and they did not call that obstruction because I thought it was a great relay in from the outfield. Throw took her up the line a bit, but had Maya Bland out at the plate by a few steps. Just good all-around defense right there.
Atwood, the anchor on the end to hold on to it to end the game with the tag at the plate. Two and two now to Coleman. Grounded wide of third and foul. Katie Stewart with that home run to give the series win to Texas.
2.6% strikeout rate. Only 5 strikeouts so far this season.
Make it 6. Caught looking. Gutierrez comes inside, 1 away. One down here in the third. Sunday Night Baseball. The Braves will take on the Mets, 7 Eastern on ESPN. ESPN Deportes, also on ESPN Radio. And our coverage will begin at 6 Eastern time with Baseball Tonight Sunday Night Countdown. 4 strikeouts for Citlali Gutierrez. And here is Ella Parker. Parker reached on an infield single and scored in the first. I love what she had to say after last night's semifinal win. She is playing with an empty mind. Now, I've been accused of such.
That's exactly the way that you want to play on the field, especially the type of hitter that she is.
Why? Why is that so important?
There's not enough time in this ball game to explain that answer.
Because there's too much in your mind.
Exactly,
you have
too
to.
much. But when you get up there and you start to overanalyze what the pitcher's trying to pitch to you, what sort of pitches you like to hit, what the situation is, how big of a game this means to your team, when all those thoughts start to get into your mind, oftentimes maybe you try too hard up at the plate, you swing at the wrong pitch. So really it comes down to trying to empty your mind as much as possible. You can see before she steps into the box, she takes that deep breath, and she said that her breathing has actually really helped her in that.
Back up the middle, and it's a base hit. 2 for 2 for Parker. 7 for 8 in her first postseason tournament.
You just never get the feeling that the moment is too big for Ella Parker. And maybe it's the breathing, maybe it's the calmness that she brings when she steps into the box. But she just finds a way to get it done. Not a bad pitch, it's low in the zone, but she just pounds this one straight into the ground over the head of Citlali Gutierrez to try to get something going.
That skipped up. Parker will take second on the wild pitch.
The extra 60 feet in a close game like this Going to advance any way that you can. Heads up base running over at first base too. Taken off immediately as soon as she saw that ball skip away from Atwood.
Runner in scoring position for Jennings, who has an RBI in this game. 2-0 the count. Looks like Atwood's having a little trouble with the electronic communication, perhaps.
Almost working with the band there on that. Tiare was still in the box ready to hit, though. She was locked in, even when Reese Atwood was standing up talking to the home plate umpire.
Many teams, not all teams, going to the electronic communication wristband where the pitches will be singled in.
Looks like they got
from
her
the dugout. I'm gonna ask a silly question because it happens to me with my watch. Did the battery go dead on the other one?
You know, I'm just
you have to put it on the charger after
true.
each day.
Yeah, I always struggled to get mine on in the morning.
Yeah. There's a strike, 2-1 now to Jennings. 19 home runs for Tiare on the season, 92 in her career. She has been an on-base and extra-base machine. Fouled off, 2-2.
Such good coverage of every part of the zone, and a little bit of a subtle change that I feel like I've seen from her swing this year to last year. She's always had her hands load up very low, close to almost her belt when she gets going in her swing. They seem a little bit lower this year, but she's still able to handle drop balls, rise balls, curve balls.
Out of play.
Even inside out of that drop ball inside.
All-time ranks on the right at Oklahoma and where she stands at the moment. Just picked up career hit number 300 today, 4th all-time in the 300 hit club for the Sooners.
Just one of those players that's such a great combination of the consistency with the batting average and the amount of hits that she gets, also with the home run power and the run production that she brings day in and day out.
Grounded to Scott at third, over to first to retire Jennings. Holding at second is Parker, 2 down.
Nice play by Mia Scott over at third base. This one hit very sharply off of the bat of Tiare Jennings. Fielded that one very quickly, made sure to look Parker back to second. Keep the runner at 2.
Here's Alyssa Brito, struck out her first time. Down the count, 0-1. I did not do the research to see if Alyssa has a fan club, but if there was an Alyssa Brito fan club, Madison Shipman might run for president.
I just really appreciate how well suited her swing is to hit pitches low in the zone. And it's because of how quickly she gets her barrel turned back behind her, along with the power that she brings up there, but just her ability to hit pitches down and elevate them up in the air. And right there you can see Sitlali kind of go into an off-speed up in the zone there. You see a lot of drop ball pitchers because they induce ground ball outs, because majority of batters are going to roll over that pitch. But the way that her hand path is to get to the ball, the way that her barrel stays behind, she's able to elevate those low pitches.
Down the count, 1-2.
And it could be because I could never hit a drop ball. That's why I appreciate it even more when I see a batter that's very good at doing that.
So it's jealousy, I think.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great way to describe it.
1-2 from Gutierrez. 2-2. gets inside. It's 3-2. Of course, it's not all about power for Brito. 16 home runs in this season. She had a squeeze bunt in the quarterfinal for Patty Gasso. Patty willing to try a little bit of everything with her lineup. Try to beat you into multiple styles and ways. We'll talk to her after this half inning. Brito comes through with a 2-out single to right. 3-1 Oklahoma.
Coming into that at bat, Alyssa Brito was batting .324 with 2 outs on the season. Go ahead and raise that batting average again. A base hit and another RBI for Alyssa Brito. This is a drop ball that's inside. It is so difficult to get your hands inside of this pitch and drive it the opposite direction, but that's exactly what she does. Drives it all the way out there to center field to allow Ella Parker to score easily on that base hit, and just how important it was for Ella Parker to advance to second base on that pass ball to be able to get over into scoring position.
5th RBI of the tournament for Brito. Just follows up perfectly what you talked about and what you appreciated for Alyssa Brito and her approach at the plate.
And typically that's a pitch that especially if you're not looking for it, then maybe you roll over it, maybe you get jammed up and hit a ground ball over to the left side of the infield. But with her bat path, she's actually able to somehow drive that pitch the opposite direction.
Kinsey Hansen grounded in to a fielder's choice, brought in a run back in the first inning. 1-1. 2-1. Two and two now to Hansen.
Kinsey way out in front on that swing. You're seeing Sitlali really start to mix speeds with that off-speed drop or drop ball, that off-speed rise ball, as we see Mac Morgan getting loose in that Texas bullpen.
Two and two, the count to Hansen. 3-2, snap throw down to first. Getting back safely is Brito. Brito had her RBI single on a 3-2 pitch. Hansen ready to face a 3-2 pitch from Gutierrez. Here it comes. There it goes. In the gap, right center field, all the way down into the fence. Brito to third. She'll score. Hansen heading to third. Here comes the throw. She is out at third. But it's an RBI for Kinsey Hansen to give Oklahoma a 3-run lead. Hey, if you're a catcher, you're going for the triple when you got a chance.
Captain.
Patty Gasso. Patty, I know you're a very much in-the-moment person, but this is your final Big 12 title game. Has that hit you at all, or are you just, I can tell by the look in your face, you're all about the game?
No, yeah, I'm all about the game. And I've said it, like the Big 12, Big 8 is where I started. So I've been in this conference for 30 years. So I will feel it when it's over, but I just can't get caught up in that stuff right now.
And Coach, coming into this tournament, you even said that you felt like your team was playing more complete softball. What do you like that you're seeing from your offense today going up against Texas?
They look like they're fighting, whether it's on the mound or they're at bats. The way they answered that run was big time. So I love their energy and I love what they're doing.
Patty, we appreciate your time as always. 15-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. Of course, that goes back to the Big 8 days, as she mentioned. You talk about Big 12 history. We're looking at it with Oklahoma, and this is part of turning the page on that history here today with Texas and Oklahoma meeting in this title game.
I think you've even seen with her teams over the years, too, her just evolving to the different style of the game. Seeing that on both sides of the field today, specifically when it comes to the pitching staffs and how these coaches use all of the arms on their staff. You just don't see all that often that coaches are running out the same ace day in and day out, but really trying to play those matchups, use the stats to their advantage.
Swinging at the first pitch is Bella Dayton, and she stays hot. Her 5th hit of the tournament. She's on to lead things off in the third here for the Longhorns. I know you can't get enough Caitlin Clark. Be sure to catch Full Court Press tomorrow on ABC, also on ESPN+. It's a 4-part docuseries. It's a behind-the-scenes look into the lives of Caitlin Clark, South Carolina center Camila Cardoso, and UCLA guard Kiki Rice. See it tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern time on ABC. Ashton Maloney swings at the first pitch as well. She fouls it off for strike one. Maloney grounded to short her first time. Good pick by Hansen to keep Dayton at first, 1-1. Two.
You look at the amount of runs that Texas put up against Baylor, the 14 runs, but it was really Ashton Maloney that got things started for them in the bottom of the first inning. Had a nice single down the left field line. It ended up advancing all the way over to third base on an air out left field.
Maloney could not check her swing. She strikes out. Takes a pause to look at plate umpire Steve Gould. Disagrees, obviously. One away.
A side swing here. Let's take a look to see if she checked. I think she went. I think that's a good call on that. Not by much, but another pitch down in the dirt from Maxwell that she's getting swings and misses on.
Ball one to Mia Scott, who struck out her first time. Home runs in the tournament. 2 of the 9 hit by Texas. Grounded to first. Sanders gets the force at second. 2 down.
That play almost developed so quickly that it didn't give Alina Torres enough time to make it from the second base position all the way to first base to try to get that double play. Quick snap throw by Sydney Sanders at first base. One hopper off of the bat. Quick throw to Tiare. You could see Alina saying right there she wasn't going to make it there in time. Don't throw the ball.
Martinez 0 for 1. Fouls it off for strike one. Martinez, one of those players that got playing time right away upon arriving in Austin. Hit .346 as a freshman all of last season. Big 12 all-freshman team. Hit a home run against Oklahoma in the Big 12 tournament title game here a year ago.
Had some good swings against them in their series earlier this year, too. Had a 2-out RBI double. I feel like her swing, she's been a little bit lower in her legs this year. Has again been extremely consistent for the Longhorns.
1-2.
It's a really good pitch by Maxwell. That drop ball working low and inside to the lefty. She's not afraid to work the inside part of the plate to both the righties and the lefties. That drop ball almost worked its way behind Vivi Martinez.
Martinez hooks it foul. And a good grab.
Been a couple of those this week. I feel like we've seen the crowd cheer for some foul balls caught. Good defense on the field, good defense in the stands. And I know what you're going to say next. You're hoping that another ball makes its way up here into the booth, although it would have to be a pretty good shot to make it all the way up here.
Why would I say that?
So that we can see you make an incredible grab in the booth.
Again? Another one? Mike White hanging out down at third. We'll chat with the Texas head coach, the Big 12 Coach of the Year after this half inning. 1-2 the count to Martinez. 2-2. Maxwell with 4 strikeouts so far this evening. Make it 5. Martinez caught looking to retire the side. Oklahoma on top 4. Such a young lineup. How has youth helped your team be in the position where they are right now, regular season champs?
Well, I think it all started last year. You know, we went deep into the postseason and got a lot of experience. We even played down here in front of 8,000 fans, so that was all good stuff you just can't practice. So I'm excited, and we bring another good class this year. So things are looking pretty good right now.
And Coach, it felt like Sitlali really settled in back in the second inning, gave up a few hits in the third. What are you wanting to see from her moving forward?
Continue to use the off speed, and keep them off balance. She's made a couple of mistakes in some critical positions, but we haven't helped her out either. So, but I just hope she settles down and keeps working hard right here.
Mike, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mike White, 6th season now as the Longhorns head coach. So you see Gutierrez with 3 innings of work, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earns, 4 strikeouts.
And you heard him saying he wants her to continue to use that off-speed pitch, and I'd imagine some of the mistakes maybe just that drop ball, which is her go-to pitch, leaving it a bit too high in the zone. She really is effective when she's able to work the edges of the strike zone, especially facing a team like Oklahoma, a team that's already seen you this year. Really important for her to continue to work that low part of the zone with the drop ball and then be able to mix in the off-speed drop, the off-speed rise.
1-1-2. Freshman Cassidy Pickering popped out to second her first time. 2 for 4 in the tournament. Both hits coming in the semifinal victory last night against BYU. 8-run 4th inning in that game for Oklahoma was the big inning for the Sooners as they bat here in the 4th against Texas. Two and 2.
Good take by Cassidy Pickering. That pitch on the outside part of the plate. She's another one that had some really good swings in that series against Texas earlier in the year. Actually had a double off of Sitlali in that series.
Waves at that one. Gutierrez gets strikeout number 5, 1 away here in the 4th. Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is your ticket to every game of the 2024 Big 12 Baseball Championship. It starts May 21st down in Arlington. Every Big 12 baseball fan needs Big 12 now on ESPN Plus. One down for Alina Torres, who's 0 for 1. Grounded to third. It's a fair ball. Scott's high throw gets away. Heading to second is Torres. Mike White just talked about it. His team hasn't done much to help their starting pitcher. Torres will take it any way she can get it. Second error for the Longhorns.
This is a play that absolutely has to be made. Mia Scott over at third base fields this one quickly. It looked like the throw took Katie Stewart up just a bit. Moves over towards that third baseline to field it. Fires it across the diamond. And it's a bit of a high throw, but I think that's something that needs to be caught by your first baseman. She got glove on it. I know it's a little bit up in the air, but you've got to try to come down with that one.
She's caught in the middle, right? She's trying to keep her foot on the bag and get the outs, but in that split second, it's sailing on her. It's a throwing error on Scott. That's what's called by the official score.
The throw was high,
yes.
Definitely. And as a first baseman, you're just trying to get all the way up on your tippy toe to reach that ball while still keeping your foot on the base.
This one is hooked foul and out of play. That's 7 errors now for the Longhorns in this tournament. Their first 2 wins only went 5 innings, so it's 10 innings plus now this 4th inning that they've committed that many errors.
You know, we talked about it earlier in this game where I felt that their defense had improved this year was the fact that their errors haven't come in bunches. Well, it seems like they're starting to come in bunches here in this Big 12 tournament.
A little bit of a flashback to what you saw last year.
Especially back last year in Super Regionals against Tennessee. 5 errors in just 1 game against Tennessee to end the season.
One and 2 the count to Sanders, who struck out her first time. Called strike 3, 2 down, 6 strikeouts now for Gutierrez.
Sitlali still working these pitches, both sides of the plate. Goes with the drop ball low. Let's see where it crosses here. Crosses at the knees. Would not be a pitch I'd want called against me if I'm in the batter's box, but every pitcher out there wants that one called for them.
Gets away from Atwood, taking third is Torres with 2 down.
Trying to keep that one in front of her, but just skipped away too far. We've seen 2 runners now in this ball game advance an extra 60 feet because of the ball that skipped away from Atwood after hitting the dirt.
Back up the middle, trying to pick it is Leanne Good, who's into the game at second base. She cannot, and the error proves costly again. Riley Boone comes through to put Oklahoma on top 5-1.
Riley Boone is so good at looking like she's going to be completely fooled on a pitch up at the plate and yet still finding a way to make something happen. Completely out on her front side, and she just lets go with that top hand to get on top of this ball. And Leanne Good went for the backhand up the middle, trying to stop her momentum as she went to field that one, and it just skips by her. Sooners with another run across, and Sitlali doing her job in the circle, inducing some ground ball outs. Her defense just has to pick it up behind her and try to make some of these plays.
It's a base hit and an RBI for Boone, her 3rd hit of the series. Jada Coleman. There goes Boone. The throw is off the mark, and Boone is in safely with a stolen base. Stolen base number 61 for Oklahoma as a team this season.
Oklahoma likes to put people in motion. Looked like she left on time to me.
Can be challenged and will be challenged here by Mike White. Steve Gould, the plate umpire, comes out and indicates that it's being challenged. Replay review being coordinated here in the stadium, so they'll take a look at it here on the press level. And the question would be, did Boone leave the bag before the pitch left the hand of Gutierrez? Terry Holt will put on the headset, communicate with the replay booth. For the moment, Boone safe at second with her 8th stolen base of the season. Boone gets credit, of course, for an RBI, but of the 5 runs scored by Oklahoma here today, 2 are unearned, thanks to the 2 errors. Let's take a look. Boone at first, Gutierrez. Oh, it's gonna be close. I think that may be a successful challenge.
Let's see when that foot leaves, right there.
And I'm wrong, it's an unsuccessful challenge. I usually wait for you to make the call, and then I do the opposite. I jumped ahead of you.
Well, you know,
I think you were going to say.
You know, we've talked about this quite a bit throughout this season with that video review over at first base. When you're slowing it down frame by frame, it's so close, especially for a runner at first base, trying to time it up perfectly with the pitchers releasing the ball. That was a close one. From the first view, it looked like she left early, but then when we continued to slow it down, maybe that back toe stayed on the base just that split second longer.
And again, when you get into using words like maybe, looks like, all that hedging, that's not enough to flip it around.
They're looking for indisputable video evidence to change the call on the field.
Coleman fouls it off and will walk it off.
A couple of times in this at-bat that Jada Coleman's almost fallen to the ground on a swing. And Riley Boone took off, looked like a hit and run was on.
The 1-2 from Gutierrez. Another one in the dirt, and Coleman gets called for swinging at it, and then throwing on the first at Atwood to Stewart to make sure of it. Oklahoma disagreed with the called third strike to Sanders, and they just on strikes for 3.5. I'd like to wish you and everyone a happy Selection Sunday Eve, Maddie Shipman. 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. The field is revealed on ESPN2. 8 Eastern time, 7 innings live analysis, reaction. Beth and Jess and Michelle and Amanda and Holly, cast of thousands, will break it all down. And you know what? They better be doing their homework because they've got a lot of teams to prepare for. These are the tickets punched so far, and I want to give All-American status to our typist who put all that in. Didn't even have enough time to read through it all.
So many good teams on that list, too. Of course, the one that jumps out to me, Miami of Ohio. Carly Spade, 36 home runs so far this season for the Redhawks. They beat Louisiana to win the MAC championship. Excuse me, Ball State.
Here's Katie Stewart with one down. Maxwell continues to work down, and that one caught a piece of Kinsey Hansen, who needs a moment.
Gonna walk it off, make sure she's all right. Foul tip down in the dirt. Ooh, maybe that right thigh.
That's what Kinsey tells everybody, yeah, well now, you know, remember that triple I almost had? I'm not going to leg out a triple tonight after that. Stewart lays off, it's 1-1. Freshman struck out in the second. 5 strikeouts for Kelly Maxwell. Only trouble came in the second inning. Struck out Atwood and Stewart, but then walked Mitchell. And on a 1-2 pitch, Caden Henry had a triple to bring in the Texas run. Other than that, Maxwell has been on target. Doesn't get that call, and it's 2-1.
Really seems like all of her pitches have been working tonight against the Longhorns. We've seen the rise ball, we've seen the drop ball, we've seen her off speeds. Working all quadrants, not afraid to work inside to the righties and the lefties.
Popped up. Torres, 2 down. Big day in the NBA tomorrow on ABC. The NBA Draft Lottery is at 3 Eastern time. That's followed by Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinal between the Knicks and the Pacers at 3:30. NBA Countdown will get it all started tomorrow on ABC and the ESPN app. We got into town just as the Thunder and Mavs were heading to Dallas. This town pretty pumped up for OKC in the NBA playoffs. Ball 1 to Jolie Mitchell, who walked and scored the only Texas run. Grounded to shorts. Jennings to first, a 1-2-3 inning for Kelly Maxwell. We've played 4 here in Oklahoma.
Hansen getting in on the scoring party as well. In the 4th inning, Sooners were able to capitalize on a couple of Texas defensive miscues before Riley Boone drove that one back up the middle. And that's where we stand, the Sooners with the lead over the Longhorns, 5-1.
2 teams that we could see meeting in the Women's College World Series here in Oklahoma City in this very park. Of course, it starts on May 30th. A championship on the line here this evening in Oklahoma City, the Big 12 Tournament Championship. Right now it's Oklahoma on top as we go to the 5th inning. Ball 1 to Ella Parker. Parker 2 for 2 tonight with 2 runs scored. 7 for 8 in the tournament with 6 runs scored and 5 runs batted in. Good pitch in there for a strike. It's 1-1.
It's an example of that off-speed drop ball that she's going to throw, trying to change things up quite literally to Ella Parker, because she has been on fire throughout this Big 12 tournament. Must be seeing the ball about the size of a beach ball coming into her with the way she's swinging the bat.
Fouled off, it's 1-2. Parker had a 3-run home run in Game 3 of the Oklahoma State series last Sunday. Helped break things open, give Oklahoma a win. They won that game. They've won 2 games here at OG Field at Devon Park. This one is lifted to left, playable for Bella Dayton. 1 down here in the 5th. Once again, you can see more Caitlin Clark behind the scenes with full court press tomorrow, ABC and ESPN+. It's the start of a 4-part docuseries, a behind-the-scenes look into the lives of Caitlin Clark, Camila Cardozo, Kiki Rice, tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on ABC. Here's Tiare Jennings, who's 1 for 2. Jennings also homered in Game 3 of that Oklahoma State series.
There's a line shot out to center field. I don't know if that ball got above about 12 feet off of the ground because she hit it so hard. 12 to 15 feet, maybe.
0-2. Of course, on a personal note, Maddie and I were in Norman for the Super Regional last year, calling the Clemson-Oklahoma series. And one of the wildest postseason games in my memory. Jennings had the game-winning home run in the 9th inning. 2 home runs against Clemson in that game, too. Of course, Kinsey Hansen had that 2-out, 2-strike, 3-run home run to tie the game at 7 in the 7th. The list of crazy things that happened in that game is so long.
Mackenzie Clark with a home run in that game for Clemson. I mean, back and forth all game long between those 2 teams.
Jennings was one of the stars, as she's been throughout her Oklahoma career, a star for the Sooners.
And it was the 16 seed going up against the 1 seed in the Super Regional. That game literally had us on the edges of our seat for about, what, 4 hours that game went on, back and forth between these 2.
And it went by fast. Usually you'd say a 4-hour softball game, it takes too long, but that one could have gone another 4 hours. A couple other things. Heinz Field finale, remember that piece of it? Patty Gasso's birthday. What better birthday gift can you have than a 9-inning win? Send you on to the Women's College World Series. And of course, they came here to this stadium and won their 3rd straight national championship. Jennings battling against Gutierrez. Count evens up at 2-2.
Yeah, see, it's all coming back to me now. We saw 8 different pitchers in that ball game, too. 4 pitchers for each team.
Grounded to 3rd. Scott throws a strike to 1st, 1 away. 2 away, I beg your pardon, here in the 5th.
Another one of those off speeds. Good pitch by Gutierrez, getting Tiare way out in front on that swing, trying to get her on that front foot. Got it off the end of the bat. And now again, you're having to deal with Alyssa Brito and the swing that she had on that drop ball inside in her last at bat, driving it the opposite direction. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a heavy dose of the off speeds here to Brito.
Ball 1. And we saw it before, and you've talked about it quite a few times. One of the things that you appreciate so much about both these teams, certainly Oklahoma's approach at the plate, is working with the pitch that's offered, hitting their pitch first and foremost, but if it's a pitch that demands being sent the other way, they will do it, and they do it so well. Rays off of that one, and it is 2-0.
I think you're seeing, for the most part, the right-handed batters going up against Sitlali today, trying to overemphasize getting behind the pitch and driving it the opposite direction, and one that's going to help you with the drop ball, but it's also going to help you with the changes in speeds that Gutierrez brings out there. Brito's a bit out in front on that pitch, but really, like you said, both sides of the field, both of these offenses, I feel like throughout this season have done a nice job of having athletic adjustments with their swings and reacting to the pitch as it's released out of the hand of the pitchers. It's one thing to have a game plan, but it's another thing to adjust to the pitch as you see it coming out of her hand. And all of these hitters are so good, they can easily hit a pitch that's 1 to 2 balls off of the plate. And you've seen them have some of those athletic swings even here today. I think about that Riley Boone swing, way out in front, still manages to get a base hit on it.
Brito fouls that one off. When these two teams met in this title game a year ago, Oklahoma won 6-1. It was a 1-1 game in the 4th inning. Brito had the go-ahead RBI. Nicole May picked up the win. Haley Lee, the most outstanding player of last year's Phillips 66 Big 12 softball championship. Hot shot foul. Going back to what you talked about earlier today, Gutierrez is dealing with an Oklahoma team that Patty Gasso says is just back into a more attacking, aggressive, strong-minded approach. Everything that you would use to describe Oklahoma through the years is on its way back. Brito can't get that pitch, couldn't check her swing, and Gutierrez has a 1-2-3 5th inning.
When she gets them looking, and so far today, already 5 strikeouts through 4 innings pitched.
She has the full confidence of her head coach, Patty Gasso, just saying that Maxwell is going to be on another level. She feels confident about it, just telling her to throw a competitive pitch every time you swing your arm. And Maxwell has done the job here today. You can see getting ahead of batters has been a key. 13 first pitch strikes.
When you're getting ahead, that's when you start to get hitters to expand the zone or even guess that a certain pitch is coming. When you look at her on the entire season, her swing and miss heat map, you can see swings and misses up in the zone with that red and also down in the zone with that drop ball and the off speed that she's going to throw.
1-2 to Henry, who brought in the only Texas run with a triple back in the 2nd inning. You see that blue tape on the chest protector for Kinsey Hansen. We have seen the vertical blue for Oklahoma. We've seen the horizontal stripe as well. That one gets away. Talked to Jen Rocha about it, the pitching coach. Motor preference was the phrase used to describe what is happening with those stripes there.
And each pitcher has a different motor preference. So you're going to see a blue vertical line. You might even see a red horizontal line of tape for Peyton Monticelli when she comes into the game.
And I guess to sum it up, the pitchers aren't even looking at it. They don't realize they see it, but it's being processed and it helps them command their pitches a little bit better.
When you see the tape, you would think that maybe it's a target for the pitchers, but Coach Jen Rocha said that that's not the point of it. It's not to be a target, but really just to get them to focus in on each individual pitch.
That just missed. Henry's aboard to start things here. There's Jen.
That reaction, she can't believe that this pitch was not called for a strike. Oof. Kinsey Hansen thought it was a strike. She was gearing up to throw it to third base. Did not miss by much. But Coach Rocha does such a good job of developing arms throughout their careers. Did that at Florida, now doing that here at Oklahoma.
Big swing by Leanne Good. Her first at-bat came on for Alyssa Washington.
Now, Coach Rocha did say that I would be a horizontal line, I believe is what she told me. Now, I don't know what that means for me.
It was a compliment. that's how I took it. Nothing against the vertical line, people. It just...
Now, would it be red or blue? That we don't know. Maybe I need to start putting up.
You definitely see red if we go back to your plan.
If you see Eric with a line of horizontal tape, just know it's for...
Please don't put it across my mouth. That was going to be the next thing that we talked about. I know you too well.
Strategic placing.
Yes. 0-2 to count. Too good. At the very least, Texas trying to make Maxwell work a little bit here. Henry worked the walk. Goods down the count 0-2, trying to fight. That's up high. It's 1-2. Bottom of the lineup trying to make things happen here. Turn the lineup over against Patty Gasso's team. I would not say a 4-run lead is a comfortable lead against a Texas team hitting .383 on the season. Maxwell's been locked in. Here's the 1-2. Gets the strikeout, one away.
Kinsey Hansen really having to work hard back behind the plate, and because Texas keeps swinging at these pitches down in the dirt, and if they're going to keep swinging at them, you just keep throwing them there. Mixing speeds goes with this pitch, working its way down in the zone. And again, these swings that you're seeing from Texas throughout the lineup just tell me, one, that Maxwell's pitches are really moving up there, and they're having a hard time picking it up out of the hand. Two, she's getting ahead, and three, you're seeing Texas start to guess that she's going to bring pitches into the zone.
Strike one to Bella Dayton. Dayton has been a tough out, stretched her hitting streak to 10 games with a single back in the third inning. She's 5 for 6 in the tournament. Oh, 2.
Bit of down bite on that drop off, swinging over top of it.
Oklahoma fans up on their feet here. 0-2 coming from Maxwell.
Goes back with the same pitch again, just inches it outside of the zone just a little bit more from the swing and miss prior. Another one of these drop balls with great late bite on it down in the zone, but because she's a left-handed pitcher, it's also moving away from the lefty Bella Dayton. Really good looking pitch out of the hand of Maxwell.
Strike one to Maloney, who's 0 for 2 tonight. Leading hitter on this Texas team came into play tonight, hitting .437. Tap to the right side, moving over quickly is Torres to first to Sanders for the out to retire the side. The leadoff walk does not hurt Oklahoma. Pac-12 championship coming up next here on ESPN2 will be UCLA taking on Utah. UCLA, of course, with 12 national championships. Oklahoma with 7. Having a little fun here, of course. 3 of those 7 won by this senior class for Oklahoma.
Well, you were talking about the pressure and the expectations. Well, this is exactly why. This is a list that these OU seniors absolutely want to be a part of. That's their goal when they step out on the field, really for any team, is to win national championships. But the pressure that they've had to deal with this season because of those 3 national championships in a row. It's an impressive graphic to be a part of, though.
Winning his class in NCAA history. Of course, there's a lot of comings and goings in this era of college sports and the transfer portal. 10 seniors were honored last weekend. Here's one of those seniors, Kinsey Hansen. Hansen doubled in the third, brought in a run on a fielder's choice in the first. This is grounded to Scott at third. 1 down here in the 6th inning. A reminder, Sunday night baseball, it's the Mets and the Braves. Tomorrow night, starting at 7 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Radio. Our coverage begins at 6 Eastern with baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown. He's a star. That guy's just a star right now. I think he's getting word from his people that he's a star on national television. That was pitch number 100 for Citlali Gutierrez, who it just feels like watching this game, she deserves better than what the scoreboard shows right now tonight for Texas.
She's definitely pitching better than what you're seeing on the scoreboard, that's for sure. She's thrown some really good pitches. You even see right there, that's that off-speed drop ball. So she's mixing speed, she's mixing location. There might have been a couple back in that 3rd inning pitches that she would like to get back, maybe drop balls that hung up in the zone a bit too far, but for the most part, she is keeping Oklahoma in the yard. She's working the outside part of the zone. She's getting ground ball outs, which is exactly what she wants when she's out there. She's also racked up quite a few strikeouts, 8 strikeouts so far today. But her defense just has not been able to consistently make the plays behind her.
2-2 the count now to Pickering. 0 for 2 tonight. Cassidy, all freshman team selection. One of 9 Sooners to earn all conference honors. Gutierrez gets the strikeout. That's her 9th, 2 down.
Second strikeout to Pickering today, too, on basically identical pitches on the outside part of the zone. Struck her out on a drop ball away in the 4th and struck her out on a pitch away here in the 6th.
2 down for Torres, 0 for 2 tonight with the run scored. Strike 1. Oklahoma has won 4 of the last 5 Big 12 tournaments, 8 in all, as they play the Big 12 tournament championship game for a final time. As does Texas. It's out of play, it's 0-2. Big 12 hoping to be well represented in the NCAA tournament. Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Baylor, all certain for the NCAA tournament. BYU, I think, should be a lock. They beat Oklahoma State in the quarterfinal rounds. That was a major upset here in championship week. Second win over Oklahoma State this season. They beat Oklahoma, did BYU this season. UCF, 30 wins, 12 coming in Big 12 play. They were 5th place in the Big 12. Pretty good resume. Kansas, 28 wins. Texas Tech, 29 wins. It's in the dirt at 2-2.
Kansas with a sweep over Baylor earlier this year. Had a win over UCF. They're a team that's gotten some big wins on their resume so far this season. A lot of really strong teams, a lot of really strong strength of schedules, I would say, in the Big 12 this year.
Oklahoma State was surprising here. One and done here in the Big 12 tournament. Of course, they won that series at Norman last week for the first time, winning a series in Norman since 1993, but they've dropped back-to-back games after winning 10 in a row.
And it seemed they were a team that was putting everything together at the right time, too, with the pitching and the hitting against Oklahoma.
Rito swung on a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. A career-high 10 strikeouts for Citlali Gutierrez.
Hard.
Championship Saturday continues as we get set to crown a Big 12 champion. Day started with Charlotte winning their first ever tournament title. They won the American. They've won 16 in a row after their win over Wichita State. Duke Blue Devils, after knocking off Clemson in a semifinal win in 10 innings, dispatched Florida State. That was a 1-2 showdown. Florida getting hot. They win the SEC title. Skylar Wallace, 2 for 3 with a home run.
Getting hot at the right time, right? That offense, that's another young team for Florida. They've got a freshman in the circle and Keegan Rothrock, a lot of freshmen throughout their lineup, but they've got tons of power and speed. And when you get Skylar Wallace getting hot at the right time, that's going to be a dangerous offense moving forward into the rest of the postseason. It's
an impressive win. That could be enough to have Florida as a top 8 seed come Selection Sunday tomorrow. That will be something to watch for. Who are the 16 seeds who host in the regionals? And then on top of that, the top 8 seeds that if you win in that regional round, you host a super regional.
It's pretty incredible what Coach Tim Walton and the Florida Gators have done this season too, because preseason they were picked to finish 8th in the SEC, and here they are climbing their way up in the rankings here towards the end of the season, winning that SEC tournament championship.
As you can see, we've had time to talk about Championship Saturday because Oklahoma is making a bunch of changes in the field. Avery Hodge is at second base. I see Hannah Kaur heading out to left field.
selection special on Sunday, regionals, then super regionals, and then the Women's College World Series right back here in Oklahoma City. How about Charlotte, though? Winning their first tournament title. They started off the season upsetting Florida State. That's how Charlotte started off this 2024 season. Sam Gress in the circle for them. Another pitcher that you want to keep your eye on.
Two and one to count to Mia Scott leading things off. Anna Kors in left. Riley Boone moves over from left to right. That settles things defensively. Still to come, Pac-12 championship game at Stanford. Top seed UCLA, number 6 seed Utah. Utah knocking off Stanford in the semifinals 2-1. Of course, Utah will join the Big 12 starting on July 1st. So playing in the Pac-12 tournament, as is UCLA, as we all know. That's it for the Pac-12 tournament. Much different than what we're seeing here. We're seeing these two teams play in this tournament for the last time, but you will still see a strong Big 12 going forward. Utah coming in the lead.
I'm going to need a flow chart to keep track of conference realignment for next year.
You didn't have one for the last 4 years?
I am keeping it straight for this year, and then as soon as the World Series ends, I'm going to start probably I'm going to need to take up an entire wall of the flow chart to make sure I get it straight.
So mine covers a wall.
Oh, there you go. See? Yep.
Very effective. UCLA, they were down 4-0 in the semis, by the way. They beat Arizona 6-5, 6-run 5th inning. You'll see Maya Brady and UCLA taking on Utah coming up at the top of the hour.
UCLA's had a great season, too, especially after the way they got started, getting run-ruled in back-to-back games, losing every game to Big 12 teams to start off the year. As you see Maya Brady there.
Back-to-back Player of the Year honors in the pack. 0-2 the count to Martinez. 0 for 2 tonight. Oh, that works inside. A mistake, a rare mistake by Maxwell. She hits Martinez with an 0-2 pitch.
Wonder if maybe coming into this inning that Texas was going to try to be a little bit more patient up at the plate, try to make Kelly Maxwell work out there. Vivi Martinez right there on the chalk line, toes on that chalk, just gets hit in that right thigh. 2 runners on board now via free passes.
Pitching coach Jen Rocha is talking to the plate umpire Steve Gould, and now that conversation joined by Patty Gasso. Rocha coming out, you'd think maybe there was going to be a conversation in the circle or maybe a change. I don't think there was perhaps questioning whether or not Martinez leaned into that pitch at all.
I really don't think that she leaned into that one. As a batter, you have the right to the base. You don't have to move out of the way of the pitch if it's in the batter's box. Yes, at the batter's box. Thank you. So you have the right to the batter's box. Don't have to move if the pitch is inside of that batter's box, but you can't lean out of the batter's box to get hit by a pitch. I really just didn't feel like she even moved at all.
Ball 1 to Reese Atwood. The player you would want on the plate for Texas in a moment like this. A school record 22 home runs on the season. 86 RBI. 0 for 2 tonight. This one is lined to center field. Reaching up and making the grab is Coleman. The defense there for the Sooners. One away.
What a play by Jada Coleman out in center field. Off the bat, I thought this was a base hit. No doubt smoked by Reese Atwood out to to center field, and you can just see the way that Jada Coleman actually has to shift her footwork, working back on that line drive, extends right at the last minute, and robs Atwood of a base hit.
Her first step was in her field, but she adjusted and athletic enough to reach up and make the grab.
Absolutely some of the toughest balls to read off of the batter, those hard hit line drives. And as a batter, nothing more deflating than when you just smoke one straight back up the middle and the defense makes an incredible grab.
Now, there hasn't been a lot of solid contact off of Maxwell, but this inning, a walk, a hit batter, a line shot grabbed by Coleman off the bat of Atwood. And Gasso is going to go to the bullpen. So the first smile of the night for Kelly Maxwell. She had that look in her eye all game long, and now a loud ovation as she heads to the dugout. I'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back to Oklahoma City.
Geico can help when you're locked out with their easy app and 24/7 help.
Dad, you don't have to make this so tough on yourself. Geico can help us get into our locked car. See?
Yeah, but where's the fun of that? Maybe I'm just nostalgic for the good old days. Before we had Geico's great coverage and 24/7 help.
Kelly Maxwell to the dugout after 5 1/3 innings of work, 80 pitches, gave up just 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts for Maxwell, and she gives way to Nicole May making her tournament debut.
Coming into a tough situation here, too, with 2 runners on board, just 1 away, and having to deal with Katie Stewart up at the plate, but the senior with a ton of experience for Oklahoma in the circle. And she's going to throw a little bit of everything. The one thing that you're going to see her do is pound the strike zone. She's going to attack that zone in different quadrants. She's got a little bit of a drop ball, has a rise, has a curve, has a screwball.
Oh, 2 to Katie Stewart.
Back-to-back strikes to start off. Stewart, mid to upper 60s, so some pretty good velocity there. Like I said, working all 4 quadrants with the variety of different pitches that she throws, but the confidence that she has in that changeup, she will throw it in any count.
One and 2 now to Stewart. Struck out in the second, popped out in the fourth. 4 RBI in the tournament. And the Dirts stopped by Hansen, 2 and 2. May's last appearance was last Saturday against Oklahoma State. Went 5, gave up 8 hits, including 3 home runs. So perhaps trying to get her back on track here. But coming in a big spot in the Big 12 championship game. 2-2. Fly ball, right side, foul ground, and drifting back is Sanders. 2 down.
A big out there for Nicole May as she enters the pitcher's circle in this ball game. Starts her off with pitches on the inside part of the plate. So this is back-to-back screwballs to get Stewart behind 0-2. Tries to get her to chase at a rise ball up and out of the zone. Works a drop ball away and then throws the curveball outside and gets a nice, easy fly ball over to her first baseman for out number 2.
Ball 1 to Jolie Mitchell, who has scored the Texas run tonight. She walked in the second, scored on the triple by Henry. Grounded to short in the fourth. 3 for 5 in the tournament. 1-1. Also on the staff for Oklahoma, Carly Keeney, the Liberty transfer, Kirsten Deal. Kirsten pitched yesterday for Oklahoma. She was 1 out from a no-hitter Friday night against BYU. Would have been a 5-inning no-hitter. 2-1 the count now to Mitchell. 2-2. Sooner fans getting a little louder here in Oklahoma City. Out of play.
Done a nice job coming into this game, getting ahead of the batters too. Really, Texas, both righties that she's had to face, neither of them have gone after that screwball that's been thrown in there for strikes early in the count. They've been chasing after pitches on the outside part of the plate.
Another 2-2 for May. Swung on and missed. Nicole May comes on, gets out of the jam.
Utah, 209 strikeouts so far on the season. That is good. We're tied for 15th in D1 this year.
So it's Utah, UCLA coming up, but still work to be done here in Oklahoma City. Sooners on top here in the Phillips 66 Big 12 Softball Championship game 5-1 as we head to the 7th. 8-9-1 for the Sooners. Sydney Sanders leads off 0 for 2 tonight. A couple of strikeouts against Gutierrez. Gutierrez with a career high 10 strikeouts tonight against Oklahoma. Line shot to left. Down for a base hit all the way to the fence. Sanders heading to second with a leadoff double.
Throughout this ball game, Sydney Sanders had been on the receiving end of some calls low in the zone with the drop ball. She got another one to start off this at bat, and then she decides to expand her zone, go after a pitch outside, actually comes around the swing and drives it straight down that left field line for a leadoff double for the Sooners in the 6th inning. 7th, excuse me.
14th double for Sanders. She'll leave the game for a pinch runner as Maya Bland comes on to run. Correction, 3rd double of the year for Sanders. 13 homers for Sydney. That's been the extra base hit of choice for her this season and many of her Oklahoma teammates. Here's Riley Boone, 1 for 2 tonight. Singled in a run in the 4th. One and 1. Gutierrez trying to keep it a 4-run game. And hope the bats can come through in the bottom half of the 7th. Boone offered at it, down on the count 1-2.
Boone just doing whatever she can to try to put something in play. Again, way out in front on the swing to get to 1 strike, and then tries to lay down a bunt unsuccessfully for 2 strikes. Infield still shaded in with her up at the plate.
Grounded to short. The throw on the first by Martinez for the out. Bland holds it second. A reminder, week 7 in the UFL concludes tomorrow. We have an ESPN doubleheader. Michigan and DC, that's at noon Eastern time. And then San Antonio takes on Houston at 3 Eastern, both games on ESPN. 1 down for Jada Coleman.
A couple of strikeouts tonight for Jada Coleman. Both of them on pitches low in the zone. One was looking back in the 3rd. One was swinging in the 4th, or called swinging in the 4th inning.
Fly ball hit deep to left in foul ground. Moving over is Dayton to make the catch. 2 down. Well, you look at the scoreboard and you see 5 runs on 7 hits, but 3 of those 5 runs are earned, 2 unearned, thanks to 2 Texas errors. and 10 strikeouts for Gutierrez, a career high for her. That's a season high in strikeouts for an Oklahoma team.
Gutierrez has really looked solid in the circle and bouncing back after Oklahoma's been able to put up a couple of runs. The times that her defense has made some mistakes, but it really felt like it fueled Oklahoma's offense with the air to start off the game. Jada Coleman reaching first base on the air over at first, and that just seemed to spark the rest of the offense. Because at that point, you feel like you've got the momentum on your side.
In the dirt to Parker, it's 2-0. And this will tell you, in some ways, how effective Gutierrez has been. 10 strikeouts tonight. She struck out Coleman twice tonight. Coleman came into this game with 5 total strikeouts all season long.
She's looked really cool, or calm, cool, and collected out in the circle, too. And I just think she's done a really nice job of working the off-speed pitches. She's got 2 different off-speeds that she's going to throw. That off-speed drop ball and that off-speed spinny rise up in the zone. A couple of times the drop maybe left a bit up, but for the most part, working the edges and keeping the ball on the ground. That's the goal against Oklahoma.
But overall, Oklahoma, history will show they make you pay for mistakes. It's not just the errors, missing her spots on a couple of pitches like you mentioned. It's been costly. 2-1. Parker 2 for 3 tonight, 7 for 9 in the tournament.
There's even been some plays that don't necessarily go down as errors in the scorebook that have been mistakes by the Texas defense.
Defenders maybe breaking the wrong way on a ball that should have been played, or at least should have been knocked down.
Even the Ella Parker base hit to second base in the first inning, too. I felt like that might have been a ball that if you charge a little harder, you get that out over at first base.
This is hit well to left, slicing into foul ground, and enough room for Dayton to put it away. That will do it for the Sooners in the 7th. Last chance.
Cover.
Lead things off in the bottom of the 7th. And she was the one that got the RBI earlier this game, that triple to center field.
Bottom of the order has their 2 hits tonight.
Yep.
Henry's got the triple, and Dayton's got a single. Swinging at the first pitch and fouling it off is the freshman, strike 1. Tripled in the run in the 2nd, was left stranded at 3rd, and then walked leading off the 5th. The last hit for Texas was Dayton's single in the 3rd. Maxwell walked 2 and hit 1 since then. Bunt laid down, and it will roll into foul ground.
The pitching has really been outstanding for Oklahoma today, starting with Kelly Maxwell. And I know we talked about it a few innings ago, maybe at the beginning of the game, and looking at Oklahoma's season as a whole, and if I'm an opponent, what am I looking at? What am I going to try to go in and get the win against the Sooners after? And it's because not having dominant strikeout pitching, well, Kelly Maxwell said, you know what, I heard what you said, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to strike out 7 of these Longhorn batters tonight.
That gives her 119 strikeouts on the season. It's been 114 innings of work.
And really just felt dominant throughout the game. Felt like she was in control of the at-bats.
That's fouled off by Henry. We'll do the 1-2 again. Really pitched well. Had command of all her pitches, was working both sides of the plate, up and down in the zone.
Working ahead, too. A lot of first pitch strikes for her. And once she's able to do that, then she throws the rise up at the helmet. Then she throws the drop ball down in the dirt.
Hansen with the pump to throw it around the horn. May didn't get the call. It's 2-2.
Looked like it didn't miss by much.
Those aren't Sooners you're hearing from the crowd.
Oh, not missing by much. A screwball outside to the lefty Henry.
One away. Second strikeout for Nicole May.
2 strikeouts. Both of them have been via the changeup for May. Great late movement on this pitch down in the zone. Pulling the string on it. Gets her thinking she's going to go back to the screwball away. Maxwell cheering on her teammate out there in the circle.
Leanne Good struck out against Maxwell back in the 5th. One to one. These two teams will be, of course, two of the highest seeded teams in the tournament. The question is, there's only one overall #1 seed. It was Oklahoma last year. Texas, when you look at what they've done all season long, consistently great, winning the regular season championship in the Big 12. Is that enough if they don't come back in this game to say they should be the overall #1 seed in the tournament? Or does this victory here for Oklahoma, when they knock off Texas, push them to the top? 1-2. 2 down.
When you see the way that Nicole May is pitching tonight, you can just tell that this is a team that is coming together at the right time of the season. Since she's entered this ball game now, after the fly out to first base, 3 strikeouts in a row for Nicole May.
Bella Dayton with 2 down. Popped up, right side of the infield. Ball